As you may have started to realize, nearly everything in iClone4 can pick a path. 3D props, characters, particles, even point lights and spotlights. Paths can really help you to create amazing animation sequences and other effects. In this tutorial, you will learn how to use paths to help you with your animations. I want to show you one tool that can help you with your keyframe animation, and that is the Auto Transform key. Here you can see I have my toy airplane again. To show this, let's first move the timeline scrub forward in time. Now let's turn on Auto Transform key off. Then let's have the airplane pick the path. Notice on the timeline, we're on this keyframe, and for our toy airplane, that there are no transform keys. Now let's restart from the beginning and press play. At first the airplane doesn't move, but once it gets back to the keyframe where we had selected the path, bam! The airplane suddenly jumps to the path. Now let's reset the animation and do the same experiment, but this time Auto Transform key will be turned on. Then choose the path. Notice this time on the timeline there is a keyframe. When we press play, you can see the airplane will transform and move to the path. And if we wish, we can go to the timeline and move that key around to make the transform faster or slower. If I wish to have my light move from position and go around the tree, I have to manually place the keyframe animations. But notice when I play back, the light goes through the tree. So then of course, here in the middle of these two keyframes, I'll add in another keyframe with the position here. So when I play back, it goes around the tree, but it's not a smooth flow, it's very linear. I want to have a smooth flow of a curve. This is where paths can come in handy. By simply drawing 3 command points with path, I can create the exact animation I'm looking for. But to accompany my point light, I want a particle effect as well. So let me turn off the gizmo for my light, and then attach my particle effect of fire. And now you can see that the fire particle and point light will move together on the path. If you go to the camera tab, there are a few camera animation templates. Notice though, if you add a template in, it will create an entirely new camera. So therefore, if I already had animation for camera 01 and wanted to have it dolly around, I couldn't create a continuous shot like I wanted. Plus, the animation is set for the dolly camera, and I'll have to adjust my scene around the camera so that I can capture the footage that I'm looking for. But with paths, I can easily attach my camera to the path, and then have my camera look around at my target. To do so, let's first add in the template of a path. Notice with camera 02, I can transform my camera around. Therefore, to pick a path for camera 02, I simply can right click on that camera, then select path, then pick a path. After camera 02 has picked a path, I also want camera 02 to look at the Earth. However, notice my current view is preview camera, and that the modify panel is for the preview camera. If I wish to keep the view of the preview camera, but modify the settings for camera 02, make sure you still have camera 02 selected, and then check on the box for selected camera. Notice my view is still preview camera, but the modify panel is now for camera 02. So like with any camera, I can scroll down to the section for look at, and have camera 02 look at the Earth. I will have a very good animation for my camera, and just like how we fine-tuned the path for my point light, we can do the same for the path we are using for our camera. Now I'm going to show you how I can make my airplane fly around the path. The first method is choosing multiple command points. For example, at frame 0, I pick a path, then move the time scrub forward, then choose the next command point. Then again move the time scrub forward and choose the next command point. And I keep repeating this process until you have reached the end of your path. Then press play and watch how my plane flies around the path. Since I chose each command point separately when picking the path, I can open up the timeline and for my airplane go to the tab called Constrain. Notice there are a few handles here. Each handle represents each moment I had chosen a command point earlier. Now I can use those handles to fine-tune the speed of the flight of my airplane. Perhaps at first, I want the plane to start slowly, so I'll move the handles further apart. Then at the end of my path, I want the airplane to fly faster, so I'll move the handles closer to one another. As for the second method, we'll use a technique called position. For example, I already chose the path at the beginning, and you can see my position is set at 0. Then if I move the time scrub forward, then change the number from 0 to 100, then play back. Watch how my airplane goes from the first command point to the last. This method is much faster than choosing each command point individually, but notice if I open the timeline and look at the constraint, I only have handles for the beginning and the end of the animation, so I cannot fine-tune the speed in the middle of the animation of going around my path. I also want to show you another example of using path. Notice if I put the number higher than 100, like 150, the airplane will start and go to the end of the path, then magically reappear at the beginning of the path, then go to the midpoint of 50. This is handy if you're trying to create a scene of gunfire tracers, in which you want it to seem you are firing many bullets, but in reality you only have one bullet traversing a path many times. If you wish for your airplane to go to the end, then turn around and reverse back to the middle, it will require two position entries. One point that goes to 100, then adjust the timeline forward, then add in another one that goes to 50, and the plane will go forward, and then reverse back to 50. A quick tip, you don't always have to choose the last command point on a path when attaching objects. Notice if I choose the command point in the middle, I can still use the path. Also take note that the position number reflects that I am in the middle of the path. And that's all for paths. I hope you learned some good tricks and that you can use to enhance your projects. Good luck and have fun!